Oh, well, hello, my wonderful, beautiful broskies of the wonderful, beautiful Maverick Nation. I am the Dr. Maverick, and, well, I got, I got a little suggestion for me to do a part 2 to my little Sephiroth what if. Apparently somebody really likes what I was doing with part 1. What if Izuku was Sephiroth? Oh boy. What if Izuku was Sephiroth part 2? You see, in part 1, basically, the entire origin story of how Izuku came to be who he is right now. The one-winged angel. Basically, his quirk. The one-winged angel. Or at least that's what, the people know it as. However, he knows it's that he basically, that the entire mana system and, as a bonus, the life stream are pretty much subservient to him. He's become that strong through his fusion with Sephiroth, which is almost complete, by the way. Depends on what you really think about whenever thinking almost. So, I could basically, tell you, if we're going, quarter logic, 25, 50, 75, like a freaking dollar. Basically, he went from a 50 to a 75 in terms of how close he is to the full fusion. And well, another thing to note about that, even though this is off topic as hell, I'm going to be dismantling the Doflamingo story again. This time I just want to make it like Ito Ito no Mi, not Doflamingo. As much as I like the character, as much as he's my favorite One Piece character, I just something I I have ideas to make and things to do. So oh, and about the stuff I was doing before, like the What If Naruto, where I had Carnage, and the Remy Ram thing, and the Ruby thing, and anything else that oh yeah, Pegasi and Symbiote. That I will be getting back to once I've gotten to not only 4 parts of this, but 4 parts of the Transformer thing, and well, then I guess I'll just release some of that stuff onto the side with my little secret. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about by secret, well, Okay, I just have to rename the playlist because episode is renamed. So now all I have to do is rename the damn playlist. Which going into it's not Shira, it's Shiri. It's a notification I got, but it's most amazing top 10. Good, it's fixed. Basically, if I haven't told you guys already, well, here's the plan. I'm going to do this Transformers episode of Shirikane Ryu. Yes, it's Shirikane Ryu. Shirikane means platinum, and Ryu means dragon. So, platinum dragon. Shirikane Ryu. So, basically, this what if, the other what if, and an episode of Shirikane Ryu. And just rinse and repeat till there's 4 parts of both what ifs. And then I just do like in whatever pattern needs to be done for the what ifs that were kind of left behind for a while. Like the Lucy one, the Naruto Carnage symbiote one, and one that isn't really a what if. Oh wait, there's also the Rim Ram one. One that isn't really a what if, but more or less like a kind of like an SCP to an SCP tale. It's kind of like one of those, like, stories. It has a lot more narrative to it, and not less flashbang, like going back and forth. Well, it does go back and forth, but in different ways. Kind of stories, which is basically what Pegasi and Symbiotes is. And the reason for the whole Majora Mask type cameo that I had in the 3rd part, listen, I'm just coming off a high from watching that one episode of Unmasked by Fable's Minion. You know, the episode on Majora. And I cannot stop rewatching that episode. It's pretty badass. Having that on constant repeat kind of makes it hard to not think about that. And come on, like, it can actually allow for some pretty creepy ass material. Hey, Carnage is all about the freaking freaky deaky shit. Just also see how this will help the development of their relationship, Carnage and Rainbow. You know, their interaction with this other power. And so, yeah, basically explaining that, like, basically this, the other what if, then an episode of Shuriken Ryu, rinse, repeat until there's 4 parts of both this and the other what if, the Transformers one, and then kind of do an on and off with the other, like, newer series, and, you know, more episodes of Shuriken Ryu. And, well, I'm not exactly sure how you guys are gonna think about the other style I've chosen, like using the WWE action figures as characters in this, and how, like, there's always, like, these different powers, like in Bleach, you got the freaking, like, Shunpo and, like, Shunko and Hado, like, Bakudo, which are both, like, keto spell type things. And you got freaking. So basically, I was thinking all of these other different animes have all these different names for all these cool things that these people can do. And so I want to make some at least base level, like, basic things that at least most of these different people should have the ability to do. Like, basically have, I'm forgetting the damn name. Uh, uh, yes, Advuja. Basically, Advuja is kind of like your, like, elemental power, or, like, not really just an elemental power, just like your power in general. And, like, stuff like Miyoke. Miyoke is like your, like, fighting style, like, that also has, like, your extra abilities. And, like, whenever it comes down to freaking bleh, forgetting him again. Bleh, I keep on forgetting the freaking names. Kakura. Yeah, that's right. Kakura. Kakura is kind of like, oh boy, it's basically like a battery for all of your, like, power. It's like a power battery. Like, you got your random ass double A's, and then you got your car batteries. Basically, who has the more jam-packed battery? Certain, like, Kakuras work in different ways. kind of like how different batteries work differently. So basically, chakras, like whatever chakra you have, which basically Awaze has a turquoise chakra, and Gizmo has I forget which one he has. Shit. Oh yes. Gizmo has the silver chakra, and Exy has the white chakra, also known as the blank slate chakra. And, well, basically, like I just said, chakras are basically like your freaking battery. Like, so, like, if you have a certain type of chakra, you will have, like, a certain type of energy that you're most proficient in. But since EXC here has like a blank slate, and like he even has like an infinite amount of Advuja, so an infinite amount of special power, and his style is the Zodiac style, which no one in the story freaking even knows what that is yet. At least that's been introduced in the story. Basically, it's just like, really, just Chakra is basically the one thing that you need to know about chakra is like the basic knowledge of what a chakra is. What, like, you and me, like, our chakras, they're basically batteries for our power. Like, whatever power you can use, whatever your Advuja is, it's basically battery powered by your chakra. And, well, let's just say that considering he has, like, Awaze has the turquoise chakra, and turquoise is kind of like a type of blue. And, whenever you think of, like, cold colors, you think of blue, so automatically that's going to give him a lot of compatibility with his, like, things. So let's just say he's going to have a big ol' amount of juicy power. Like, close to, like, Uzumaki clan level reserves of just, like, juiced up power. And same with Gizmo. You're wondering why his is electricity. What does silver have to do with electricity? What are a lot of, like, electric conductive, like, solid things colored? Like, mostly, like, whenever you see, like, anything metal or, like, tinfoil, it's, like, got this silverish coloring. So, basically, the battery for him is going to be, like, some sort of symbolization of, like, some sort of inner body conductorism or whatever. I think I just made up a freaking word. Conductorism is basically like a literal conductor for more power. So yeah, and that's for like the Zodiac style and like the infinite amount of Advuja and his freaking Kakura being the blank slate. Well, if it's the blank slate, you can't really put anything on it that would really either reject or empower it. Because whatever you put on it, it's just going to be whatever you put on it. Because it's a blank slate, it's a blank canvas. Whatever you put on it, you're basically painting a picture. And with the whole Zodiac style, no one even knows what that freaking is. So, not only does this man have infinite freaking Advujas, but his battery is pretty much null and void. So, there's not even a clear, like, message. Basically, with, like, the Advuja of Infinity, he has like, infinite Advujas. So, like, every single one that he could ever think of. Yeah. All depends on how good he is with that specific Advuja. And, well, with the white Kakura, also known as the blank slate Kakura, it wouldn't really improve or, like, decrease the Advuja. It would just have it be there. There would, I guess, be one upside, being that it can't really be copied or, like, cloned, like, messed with or glitched with or anyway. Like, I guess you can't really mess with his Advuja. Like, I guess with other people's, like, you could steal or copy the person's Advuja with your own. But with this, I guess the blank slate would be blank, so you wouldn't really be able to copy. Like, almost like the battery would get in the way of the actual thing. And, you'd just be copying nothing. So I guess that is one thing, like, almost like battery armor for, like, your own Advuja. So, like, your own superpower has its own armor, so that's something. And technically, you have, like, a bajillion superpowers. And whenever concerning the Zodiac style, no one technically, in terms of the story, knows what the Zodiac style is. In story terms, no one knows what that shit is. Well, at least none of our main characters. Like, none of the friend circle. So, Owaze doesn't know, Gizmo doesn't know, Maria doesn't know. Because remember, Maria Quincy and Gizmo Abera were, dating. Power couple. That shit. And, well, not even Exy is aware of the whole Zodiac thing. Zodiac style. And it's his own freaking Miyoke. I mean, it's his own Miyoke, and he doesn't even know half the shit. Like, he's heard about, like, the legends that revolve around it, but, like, so have other people. But beyond that, no one knows jack shit. That's enough with me chit-chatting about other shit. I need to actually get on to the what if that I'm supposed to be talking about here. Mm. Which is, what if Izuku was Sephiroth Part 2? Where we left off Part 1, basically, Toga was trying to get into Izuku's package zone. And Izuku was it didn't really seem like he had much of a choice than to let Toga have, a ride in his package zone. And now that she's got that ride in that package zone, which I did not know this, but apparently the villain Magne is also a girl. So, let's see what I do with that. I guess we can make some animosity. I guess, Magne with her magnet quirk could indeed find some interest in something that you would think would be magnetizable. A sword that I don't think anybody has. I don't think anybody has, have really tried to correct me. So Murasama is, I believe, what I called it last time. Basically, seeing as no one's tried to correct me so far, or either that or they just don't care. Which, hey, I'm all for that. I'm all for that life. Just as long as you don't, if you were to try to correct me, don't be mean. That's all I'm asking. Don't be mean. And don't be mean to others. This is a nice community, 116 subscribers strong, and we are, not the kind of people who openly attack those that don't deserve it. That is the kind of community that I expect out of you guys. The D.S.M Nation, there's a reason why I say no discrimination in the D.S.M Nation. Because it's the truth. That's what I go by. No discrimination in the D.S.M Nation. So, basically, Magne, looking at that Murasama, is looking at, looking at it, and, looking at her magnet, and just like, what I could do with that. She's like wondering, would it offend him if I tried to? And Izuku would just be like, don't. If you value your life, don't. And Magne would just be like, okay. Yeesh. And Toga would be like, She'd just be moving her hand down, caressing the sword, caressing the Murasama. And then she'd be moving her hand over to the side, trying to caress something else, if you know what I mean. I mean, she's already had enough time in his, little winning box. She's already had enough time in there. Izuku and Sephiroth are both starting to think that she needs to stop. And so, they just both decide at the same time to assert dominance. How exactly they decide to assert dominance, against Toga? Show her who the boss is? Well, seeing as he basically has endless mana, Izuku decides to summon up a monster. Not a really big one, but not a small fry. This one's gonna be a toughie to kill. That is, unless you're Sephiroth. let's just say maximum overdrive freaking ultimate freaking hentai monster of death. Like Omega Death Supreme. And the maximum OMG level. Like, damn, son. Damn. So, yeah, you heard me say that right. Hentai monster. Basically, a bunch of tentacles just wrap around Toga, and she's like, hey, what gives? And Izuku would just be like, oh, God. What gives? What gives is that I've had enough. You, me, today. You need to learn personal space, woman. If you want me to treat you right, you gotta treat me right. Which means allow me to have personal space whenever I want my personal space. And, you know, Yumiko Toga would be like, aww. And she would just start to stab at the hentai monster. But then it would just, like, slap her silly until she was unconscious. And then it would put her down and slink back into its little summoning hole. Like summoning portal. And, well, Magne would be like, well, he did say something about his personal space. Maybe if I try to make small talk from afar. And then you just hear someone say, I hate small talk. I hate beating small talk. So no. I don't even know who you are, but still no. Why would you want to make small talk with me? Didn't you just see what I just did there? And then the person would walk into view, and the person would reveal themselves, basically being like, name is Magne. And Izuku's like, oh yeah, you were the one with the magnet cord. Something to do with my sword? My Murasama? Listen, if you're wanting to stick your magnet quirk to my Murasama, you can forget it. I don't want any part of whatever that would cause. I'm still not fully fused, so I don't want any freaky deaky shit happening, especially while we're in base. Last thing I need to hear is more griping from Mr. Grumpy Pants. And, he would just basically, make a motion to, like, suggest that he was talking about All For One. And Magne would just be like, oh, uh, I guess that was sound kind of stupid. And then Izuku would be like, no, it's fine. Just no magnet with my Murasama, okay? No magnet quirk with my Murasama. Those two things need to stay far away from each other. At least until I can completely fuse to one being. A true one-winged angel. You just hear the chorus of angels now calling my name. Sephiroth. Magne's like, well, you really have indeed embraced that whole identity thing, haven't you? all villain code name. And Izuku's like, well, if you got it, flaunt it. As for me, what I've got, this extensive power over mana and the live stream already, I feel almost like I'm being spoiled. And then, Magne would just be like, so, if we were to leave your Murasama and my magnet quirk out of this, would you be willing to... And, Izuku would just be like, well, seeing as that girl still really does not seem to know the meaning of personal space, and basically, like, Togo would be right there like, Magne, you get off my man. And Izuku would be perk up like this, like, wait, your man? Hello? Ring-a-ding-ding. And Togo would be like, ring-a-ding, and just hit her with the blunt side of the Murasama. Like, BAM! I am no one's man, unless I want to be. I don't care if my teammate or not. I will not be talked to as if I'm some sort of toy or item. Get the hell out of my sight, Himiko Toga, before I have to shing cut you down personally. And Togo would just be like, okay. And just limp off. Because he hit her hard with the blunt side of his Murasama. Like, square in the face. And, he's just like, get the frick out. And, well, out of all of this, like, pent-up frustration, Izuku would want to let out some stress. Plus, he'd also want to find a way to get back at Toga for, saying that, he was hers of any type, sort of thing. He was no one's, as far as he was concerned. He didn't even belong to this awful one guy. He was just working with him because. Like, legit because. He couldn't even remember the real reason why he decided to work with the League of Villains. It was all just a distant memory to him now. As all of a sudden he found himself in a warm embrace with this villainous girl with the magnet quirk. Izuku would then think, oh, you look rather nice, but it would look much nicer if you were to just let loose a little. And I know I'm the one to be talking with the way I'm dressed, but I let myself flow freely. Let my body breathe. Not afraid to suffer the scars of an impending heroes vs. villains war. As that is not of my concern. However, you so closed off. You need to lighten up a bit. Loosen the load. Liven up your life. Give in to your deepest, darkest desires. And, well, Magne would then begin to realize Izuku has a sort of hypnotic way with people. You can get them to do a lot of things that they normally wouldn't do. And that is indeed whenever a much easier night of passion would have gone down. Well, at least much easier for Izuku because, well, Toga's forceful nature and overwillingness to actually, you know, go through with the plan and everything of, like, this super dating. And you guys might be wondering, but you said that Toga was the only girl there. That's because I'm gonna have Magne in this be, well, seeing as Toga's always outgoing and, like, bubbly, I'm gonna have that, like, make it to where, like, there's, like, one side which is always over outgoing, and the other side, because of this over outgoingness, kind of feels overshadowed in comparison. So, wouldn't really want to freely, like, show themselves as much. That's right, for that whole meeting thing where everybody was there, Magne wasn't present because Toga was being way too outgoing and just making her feel really inadequate. However, Magne's more straight man to Toga's psycho man. Like Magne's Mark Wahlberg to Toga's Nicolas Cage. Kind of like put Izuku in better spirits with the Magne villain. And over time, this more Sephiroth-like Izuku, because they are indeed getting very deep into the fusion at this point, does indeed take a very good liking to this more these calculated steps that Magne is taking, and feels also much more not only natural but feels good to have someone that's similar to him. Toga's just freak. Toga is just freaky, like freaky deaky shit. So Izuku, becoming more and more like Sephiroth, he's not gonna be able to get into that. Like, you may be a little bit cuckoo in the head, But he's not Toga's kind of cuckoo. He's a little bit more Magne's kind of cuckoo. Like a very calculated and, you know, you know, analytical type mind kind of cuckoo. After all, that is one of the things that he was praised in his school years, Izuku was, about his analytical mind. And so, it's just, eventually, come, it's almost the time. It's like 2 days before the whole training camp thing is about to happen. Like 2 days. Like 3 days. Like, the third day is up because like there was some planning being done. And like everybody's like running around and like, what's this plan? Like, what's this whole shit? Like, what's going on? And then it ends up being revealed on the second day that all along, ever since, Toga kind of got steamrolled, and Magne kind of got her chance to step into the spotlight. Basically, Izuku and Magne have slowly been building up a relationship. And so, they've even been thinking of ways of possibly being able to use the Murasama in tandem with Magne's quirk. It's either Magne or Magna, but I'm gonna pronounce it Magne. Is basically have their quirks work in tandem with each other. Like literally shoot out lightning beams. Like concentrated lightning. So like one-shot kills. Through the Murasama as like it's connecting with Magne's magnet and it's causing it to conduct all the electricity and even fuse it with some of Izuku's mana, as he'd be using his lightning spells as well to conduct even more powerful electricity and like not only make them like one-hit kill shots, but like be able to like bounce off of certain shit, because he would be able to use his mana to control like the directional input of like these conducted blasts. These controlled and conducted blasts, he'd be able to like have them move wherever, kind of like the freaking eye beams the Omega beams that Darkseid uses in the DC universe. Basically like that. Basically all that, Izuku would have to do is just charge in with some of his lightning. But, they can just use, like, lightning from wherever, like, just cook up a lightning storm. I don't know, like, throwing out a couple fire spells up in the air. Like, up in the air. And just, like, start some thunder and clouds and, like, send some lightning down. And, like, cause the magnet to conduct it all, and then funnel into the sword, and then just shoot out like laser beams. But, if he wants to, he can add his own lightning spell. Like Izuku can add his own lightning spell, like lightning mana. and like make them controlled like freaking like Darkseid's Omega beams. Yeah, exactly like that. And you know they can even explode if he shoots up enough mana into like the freaking lasers. Like, explode on impact. And these lasers like regularly can like eat through all sorts of freaking material. So much so that, you know, Shigaraki and Kirigiri were actually thinking of, you know, maybe like reinforcing the walls of, you know, the freaking hideout just to make sure that, you know, if training is being done, they don't accidentally blow up the hideout. And Izuku would be trying to explain that they only explode whenever he infuses his own lightning mana into the fusion of Magnet and Murasama. You know, Magnet, Cork, and Murasama. Summon. Because he summons it. However, Izuku does indeed reveal something. It seems the closer and closer he gets to fusing, the more and more mana he gets. And the more and more power over the life string he gets. So, like, the less and less these, like, really high, like, requirement of mana, like, spells and summons and shit, like, are really going to cost him because, you know, because the more and more he starts to fuse, the more and more power over both those things he gets. And, well, he realized that, and he's like, well, I just see what life is going to be like whenever I'm 100% completely fused. Or let me say that again. We're 100% completely fused. Hmm. We already know our name of our quirk is One-Winged Angel. And our villain name, Sephiroth. However, I feel your power, my power. Whenever we fuse, we'll be a being beyond mortal comprehension. It seems that beings from wherever you come from and beings from wherever I come from are not meant to mix. And so we would accidentally, I guess you could say, I guess you could call that a little happy accident, become a god. That's basically Izuku's evaluation on the matter. Seeing as they really aren't meant to mix, like people from like Sephiroth's time period, and people from Izuku's like time period, aren't really meant to mix with each other, especially not 100% completely. However, they seem to be doing that perfectly fine. And seeing as they seem to be doing that perfectly fine, Izuku makes the correct assessment that whenever they are 100% confused, like, whenever they're 100% like, whenever they're 100% fused, they will basically have the power of a god. No, they just won't have the power of a god. They will have they will literally be a god. A god that is like, if you want to know what I mean, like, whenever I say god, like, I'm talking like, well, I don't know how to correctly say this. Well, another Dark Side reference, everybody. You guys know that there's a little known fact. The dark side you think you know isn't actually dark side. The real dark side is actually, he's kind of in fourth world, I think, because if he were to actually appear in his actual real physical form, he'd be the size of a star. And so, yeah, that would basically destroy everything. Basically, the real dark side is like supposed to be like the side of like a really freaking big star. So the real dark side just stays in like some sort of fourth world dimension. Yet he has the power to Omega Sanction people. Basically, what I'm gonna say here is the power that Izuku is gonna have whenever he goes 100% complete fusion, he's gonna basically be on fourth world dark side level, aka true dark side, the true form of dark side. Because like he can only like really exist in like the fourth world kind of thing. All of the other dark sides are just like clones that he made, like are weaker than him. Because he's actually, like I said, like as big as a freaking star in like IRL. So yeah, legit fourth world dark side level power. And considering the dude's like the literal embodiment of all like despair and like pain and suffering, like dark side is just like, just makes people feel terrible. And he can even Omega sanction you, like maybe in and outside of the fourth world. Maybe you also have to be fourth world with him, but I don't know. Like he did it to Mr. Miracle, and the first time that he went through the sanction, good God. Yeah, so basically, he's equivalent to actual fourth world, also known as the actual IRL dark side. The real one, he's equivalent to that dark side. Well, he will be whenever he reaches the 100% fusion. And at this point, he's like 95% there already. Like 90 to 95% already there. And so, good God, no. Jesus. And just so you guys know, the only reason why I'm making him comparable to actual, like, legit fourth world, actual dark side Like, whenever he becomes 100% like fused. What do I keep on trying to say confused? Damn it. The only reason why I'm scared, like, scaling him up to legit fourth world dark side, like the actual dark side, the only reason why I'm scaling him to that is, well, that's not even taking into account, like, the freaking, like, white monster transformation that he can pull out of his ass. Like, if you guys remember Final Fantasy VII, you remember Sephiroth, and he had the white monster transformation that he could do. I really don't know what else to call it. Like, white hentai kaiju beast form. Like, whenever he has all the things, and whatever the frick. Frack. So, yeah. As for all this, basically, the reason why I'm making dude so strong whenever he, like, hits his 100%, well, don't know if you guys ever heard of this, but uh, Sephiroth almost, like, completely succeeded in destroying the entire planet. And I know that Darkseid has done a lot more crazier stuff, and not actually having to be Darkseid, the actual Darkseid. But Sephiroth, I feel like, had everything gone according to plan and he actually won, I feel he could have gotten a lot stronger and a lot faster than, like, anyone in the Final Fantasy verse. Like, anyone. Like, Sephiroth was just destined for greatness, whichever path he took. It's just Cloud Strife and friends had to just cut him down. Like, literally. However, Sephiroth's words should have indeed been taken to heart. You know, whenever he said he wouldn't become a memory. Blech. What I'm basically saying is, it's my indeed belief, like, deep down belief, that if Sephiroth had actually won that, and he'd be allowed to go on with his plan, and, you know, do this to other places, and just keep on doing it over and over and over again, for as long as he felt like, he could have been Darkseid level. It would have just taken him, like, a few days, maybe. Like, a few days tops. Just to get to, like, fourth world Darkseid level. Because, like, if you look at the shit that, like, you know, Sephiroth in his final form could do, like, I have no doubt in my mind that this man could have done it in just a few days. If, like, he was allowed to do the same thing, like, in the span of days. That he could have reached that level. You know, all the power of all these different planets to himself. Like, I just like, sucked the Milky Way galaxy dry. Like, just the Milky Way galaxy alone, I bet, would probably make him, like, just as strong, if not stronger, than Fourth World Darkseid. And I guess that's just me being a Sephiroth fanboy, but, I mean, it's just the awesomeness of Sephiroth. I mean, Dude is freaking badass. And I don't even think that the Omega Sanction will work. Because, well, I just think Sephiroth, with all the crazy shit, like, Sephiroth is like the Madara of Final Fantasy. He's like the Madara Uchiha of Final Fantasy. There is so much we didn't get to see him do before he was cut short. But at least in Final Fantasy VII, it was the freaking main character, not freaking Zetsu. And that's just sad. Never mind. Never mind my dawdling. Now we have, like, the whole Stain arc to go through. Or, wait, we don't. Because guess what? The Stain arc really didn't happen. And the reason why it really didn't happen is because, well, word gets around fast. And that also includes word that you don't like heroes. Certain heroes that might touch a nerve whenever mentioned. And, you know, one of those heroes being All Might. Izuku's train of thought would basically just be like, oh, so he hates all these other heroes, but he thinks All Might's, should be given a pass? F that shit. like Izuku's literal train of thought is F that shit. We are going after this mofo. Regardless of whatever Mr. Handman says. You know, like Sandman, Handman. And, well, like Sephiroth would be like, okay, I guess now you're a man on a mission. Like, now we're a man on a mission, I guess. And this is whenever Togo would start going freaking absolutely batshit insane over Izuku, and, you know, getting that clingy attitude that, as, you know, you clearly heard he didn't really like. And it would all be from, you know, the destruction of the hero killer. Basically, he would just be shing, like, one slash, and then hoist him up in the air, and smack. And Izuku would be like, you deserve to die, scum. And he would proceed to burn the body, making sure to leave no evidence. Either for the police, heroes, or even, you know, Shigaraki if he wanted to collect the body. You know, for anything he would want to do, like maybe stab him even though he's already dead. Like, if he was just that pissed off. You know, he just, like, burned the dude with his fire mana. Like, however, it would be the final day, and it would be almost time, but then it would be revealed that there was a little secret occasion held in, you know, secret, because, well, not exactly everyone in the whole League of Villains family are mentally stable individuals. And even the ones that do have some mental stability are questionable at best. And so, Izuku decided to organize a little something all for him and his suite. Now he would have his, of course, have his occasional summon to help him with certain things. However, well, keeping this secret from everyone, while also getting the correct dress for Magne and making sure it actually fits and looks perfect on her, would indeed prove to be difficult, but not impossible. And, well, Izuku would be like, well, it would be nice to have someone. Oh, basically, I don't know who the person in the middle is who says all the things. Eh. But he'd be like, it would sure be nice to have someone like that here. And indeed, seeing as, well, Stain was murderized by Izuku, Izuku being ridiculously freaking powerful, Spinner would change his tune, instead following Izuku's ideologies. Basically bending the knee. Like bending the knee in servitude. And so Spinner would be the one to do all that shit. Basically, Spinner would be like, in sickness and in health, to death do you depart. Like, do you, Izuku Midoriya, take Himaka Toga to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, till death do you depart. Actually, would ask Toga first, because you have to ask the man second, because then you would say, nah, you may now kiss the bride. Yeah. Basically, do you Himako Toga? Actually, no, it wouldn't be Toga, shit. I was building up a romance with Magne. Do you, Magne, take Izuku Midoriya, aka Sephiroth, to be your lawfully wedded husband, through sickness and in health, till death do you depart? And Magne would just be like, I do. And, it would be like, do you, Izuku Midoriya, aka Sephiroth, take Magne to be your lawfully wedded wife, in sickness and in health, till death do you depart? And Izuku would just be like, I do. And Spinner would be like, well, now kiss the bride. And then we're just like, BAM! Smacking the lips. Like locking them in deep in tight. And we've caused some magnetic sparks all around from Magne, like almost like an evolution of her quirk. And be like, Whoa! That was awesome! Wanna do it again? Izuku's like, well, I can indeed see that some things have changed. Wait a second. I feel... I see. Magne! Spinner! Let us tell everyone the good news! Not only have we just now hitched, but the fusion is indeed complete. And then all of a sudden, we just burst out, and Spinner would be like, everybody, everybody! We just got some people hitched, and the fusion is 100% completion! And Shigaraki would be like, uh, good job about the whole fusion thing, but wait, hitched? You mean married? Who in the hell in the League of Villains, was like romantically interested with the other person? Uh, Toga isn't really around. She actually wanted to keep her distance from you ever since you're basically retaliated from her. So who? No. Magne would just be like, yep. And, Shigaraki would just be running it in his head, like, running it through his head. Izuku and Magne. Izuku and Magne. Izuku and Magne. Izuku and Magne. It would just be like that scene in that one Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, where it's like, he has a speaking spell, and he just keeps on entering food. Leatherface. And Kirigi would just be like, hello, Master Shigaraki. And Shigaraki would be like, oh, whoa. uh, uh, guys, kind of weirded me out there for a second. One second I thought you two were, said you were, like, into each other, and then all of a sudden, you would just see that, Spinner had 2 rings. And Izuku would grab one, and, Magne would grab one. As they would both place one on their finger. Their ring finger, specifically. Because, ring finger. So, yeah. And Shigaraki would just be like, oh god, it's all real. And Spinner, you were the one who finalized it? And Kiryu would be like... Kiryu would just be standing there like, okay, I don't know what to do in this situation. Should I tell Lord All for one or not? Like, what do we do? And Magni's like, I don't think that just because we're married, it's not like we're not able to kick some ass. In fact, tell everyone in the league. Let them all know the big news. And Izuku would be like, yes, let them know the big news. as we shall let the heroes know that their lord, Sephiroth, is coming. And I shall bring despair to all heroes. And, well, it would just be, like, insane. Like, absolutely insane. Now, obviously, regardless of what anyone said, the automatically two that we're gonna, pair up with each other just because we're gonna be Izuku and Magne. And basically, they were gonna be given the job of, like, capturing the Bakugo kid. Like, originally it would have probably been given to, like, either Muscular or Mr. or freaking Mr. freaking Compressed. They would have been given to either of them, but, All For One wants to test out this little, like, thing. He wants to test out this little marriage. Like the League of Villains. And long story very short. And why I say long story very short? Well, as for what happens with Coda, well, let's just say that Muscular does end up going after Coda, but Coda finds this edge, this cliff, and Muscular's barreling towards him, and he's like, do I jump? Or do I just let this guy kill me? And he sees that there's a bunch of water down there. And it seems like a pretty big, some sort of river thing. So he might be able to make it onto shore somewhere else. He might not know where he is whenever he does end up there, but at least be better than dying like his parents. And so he braces himself and jumps. Muscular being really freaking pissed. Because he wanted to kill that kid. Because he realized that that kid was the son of the two fire hose parents, like fire, water, whatever hose parents, that he killed because they took out his eye. However, there is one thing that Coda does before jumping that pisses Muscular off even more. He basically has a slingshot, and he shoots the slingshot like some sort of sharp rock. And this sharp rock, basically whenever it glides by, it almost looks like it skips Muscular's head by a few inches, but that's because it's moving so fast that it can't be really traced. What actually happened is it got smacked. And what that ended up doing is taking out Muscular's other eye. And so Muscular died pissed. Because I really don't think you can survive without your eyes. Like having your eyes in your head. At least if you did, I don't think you would have survived for long. So, yeah. Basically, Muscular would have bled out through his other eye and just fell backwards, pissed off, like just dying while pissed off. Not only did the kid get away, but he took out his other eye. So at least now basically Coda's like, even if he does end up dead somehow, you at least know that he, in a way, avenged his parents by taking out that big ugly brute's other eye. So, yeah. Muscular is indeed frickin' dead. And God knows what happened to Coda. And so, what about Mr. Compress? I mean, I mentioned Mr. Compress and Muscular, like they were supposed to be some sort of unit. And so, basically, I'll say what happens with Mr. Compress. Make a long story short, he notices what happened to Muscular, and, well, doesn't really seem to care. But he doesn't need to report back to Dabi, because Dabi is sort of like this double entendre type informant for Shigaraki. And Shigaraki isn't exactly too happy about what happened with Muscular. Like, now one of their guys is dead. Shit. Master Alpha 1 is not going to be, like, very happy about this, or Alpha 1 is not going to be pleased. Whenever he hears about this. And so they're, like, at least, like, hope that the squad we didn't send out, you know, be able to capture, you know, the freaking kid. Whenever Bakugo sees Sephiroth once more, basically Magne will be there, and Magne will just kind of basically make this a very one-sided fight. Like, every time Bakugo is about to land an attack, he gets attacked from, like, one or the other side, like, either the left, the right, or the back. Never the front. Like, always getting freaking, like, vulturized by Magne every time he goes to attack Izuku. And so Izuku, after a while of witnessing Magne basically, like, vulturizing Bakugo all the way to hell and back, Izuku would be like, enough, Magne. I decided I was going to bring despair to this hero world. A better way to do it than to destroy all heroes. And Magne would be like, but that's not what was planned. And, you know, Izuku would spill everything. Like, he wasn't really in for the League of Villains for the League of Villains. He was in for the League of Villains as, you know, something to fall back on, you know, until he was ready to enact his, you know, entire thing. But, you know, he would have to wait till he was 100% fused. You know, and so Magne would be like, so does that mean our love was fake? And, well, Izuku would just look at her and be like, Magne, dearest, not at all. just the stuff to do with the annoyances. Magne's like, but I'm part of the League of Villains. And, Izuku would be like, well, you don't have to be. Trust me, I think I know what I'm doing. I have much greater power than you would care to fight against. After all, I am solidifying myself as the true superpower of this world after this event. And Magne would kind of understand what he's talking about and be like, so, all along, it's been part of a greater plan that you've had all along. Just figuring out the perfect way to execute it. You're a genius, my love. My love, you're an absolute genius. And Bakugo would be like, why the hell is she calling him that? And what do you mean, other plan? Like, what the shit are you talking about? You freaking stupid. Ugh, you're pissing me off. Ah! And he would just start blasting. Like that meme, I just started blasting. Like, that would be Bakugo right now. Just started blasting. And Izuku would just be like, pathetic. Now, I shall show you despair, Katsuki. And Bakugo would just be like, despair? The hell do you even know about despair? And Izuku was just looking at him with a smirk. Oh, I think I know a lot about despair. Enough to show you. Now, be gone. And it would just be like a sword slash. And just like, how? That wasn't even close enough to hit me. How did you? And Magne would just be like, Izuku's sword strikes with the Murasama, they're strong enough to cut even whenever not directly actually making physical contact with the person. In other ways, like in other means, it would basically be like, now do you understand despair? And Bakugo would be like, shut up! And like Izuku would just be like, well then, I guess there's no other choice. Sorry, not sorry I had to do this. Meteor. And the moment Bakugo hears that, he's like, fuck. And the meteor would come down. However, the meteor would then begin to become compressed into a ball as the villains would start to intrude on Izuku's little plan, as they seem to have heard everything through Toga being the little, spy. And because of this, basically just teleports in front of Toga and sticks the Murasama through her face. Brain hole and all, rips it out, and slices, cutting the brain in half. And grabbing Toga by the leg and throwing her and then blasting with a giant fireball, absolutely disintegrating her body. Realizing that fire was blue fire. Dottie would perk up at this. Someone else knows how to use commercial flames? And Izuku would just be like, now, since you've interrupted me, I guess we'll all have to know despair. Magne, my poor Magne, I will send you somewhere safe. Just put a hand on Magne's head and just teleport. And basically, you just hear, like, freaking twice say, "Where's Magne? What did you do with her?" And Izuku would just be like, somewhere where she won't be able to be hurt by this attack. Now you will know true despair. Damn it, he knows. Now, supernova. And basically, as soon as he explains this, a giant fireball is released from what seems to be the sky, crackling into tiny shards of glass. And just this giant fireball, like the size of a miniature, like little freaking, like this thing is literally the size of an apartment complex. Is how big the supernova is. It's the size of a freaking not just one apartment, but an entire apartment complex. And he just sends it down, and barely my people are able to actually get the hell out of there. Like heroes, villains, like the Wild Wild Pussycats and Mandalay. Like literally the Wild Wild Pussycats and Mandalay have to leave their own home because it's about to be completely freaking obliterated. I mean, what do you think a supernova the size of an entire apartment complex would be able to do? I think the moment it actually turns supernova like actual mode, it would completely evaporate everything in the surrounding area from existence. Except for the one that casts like the spell. And that being Izuku. And as for where he teleported Magne off to, well, basically, he pulled his hand out again, two fingers, whoop, and she's teleported back, straight bridal style, holding her bridal style, as he's, like, freaking floating in the freaking air, flying just while using the one wing. And basically, Magne would be like, where the hell did you have me? And basically, Izuku would state, all that you need to know for now is Pocket Dimension, and, well, everything after this, we built from the ground up. However, I will not be taken advantage of by anyone. I will be the one on top, and all shall fear me. And well, Magne would just be like, well, yeah, but what do we do? And Izuku would be like, oh, allow me to worry about that. Don't worry your pretty little head. As he would just sleep spell. Like, boom. Like, sleep spell. And he would just, you know, while flying, have like carrying her bridal style as she was sleeping. You know, off to a good place where he believed he could have some good fun. They say they're called the Yakuza. Oh my. This could prove to indeed be fun. Yakuza hideout it is. And seeing as he's connected to the life stream, which is connected to the Earth, he would automatically know where he would automatically know where the Yakuza hideout is, even though he's never been there before. He would just use his connection to the freaking life stream to, like, you know, uproot some sort of, like, coordinates to the Yakuza hideout. You know, Yakuza would just get a knock on their door. Good old knock. And as soon as they would open the door, they would just see, basically, imagine freaking, I guess by now he'd be 16. 16-year-old Izuku, but in Sephiroth's clothing. And you would even have the mirror sum out, just in case he needed to chop a bitch. And, you know, in one of his hands, he would also have his sleeping wife, his sleeping treasure of a wife, Magne. Yes, he would have pretty much vowed to never leave Magne's side. To always, you know, be somewhere in the, you know, general area close to his precious wife. And, you know, even go so far as to take her with him while he's doing this whole Yakuza thing. And so, there we have it. It's just now starting the whole thing with the Yakuza. Just letting you guys know, no one else died. Except for Muscular. He was the one person who died. And the reason why I say no one else besides Muscular is because, remember, Koda jumped into the waterfall. We have no idea if he's alive or not. So, Sephiroth